How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm so happy to have you here.
I
just have
know.
such a good time with you all the time. So I'm like, I can't wait to joke around with Amanda on the podcast.
I know. You're like the only person I can be authentic with sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
I love your humor. You just make me laugh. And I'm like, I wish I could be that funny. Like, you're always so funny. You always say these off the cuff that I'm like,
Yeah. It's usually mean. That not really
maybe
humor,
that's why I
but-
like it, because we're just mean together. So, okay. So tell me, or tell the listeners a little bit about you and what you do, where you came from.
Where I came from my mother.
The womb.
Straight out. I'm not even going to say it, but yeah. So I'm Amanda. I have been doing real estate since I was 21 years old. I'm a mom before anything.
Mom first.
I am someone who will forever be engaged because I don't believe in marriage.
Wow. Well, that's a whole other thing to get into.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Just wanted the ring, you know?
I'm setting a timer because I forgot to do it because your
Okay.
beauty was so distracting.
Ugh,
So
if I had a
1 second.
dollar.
So are you not getting married?
I mean, what's the point? It's so expensive.
That's true.
And it's so
And you're also
stressful.
building a house right now. So it's like
Yes.
house versus wedding. I mean, come on. That's a no-brainer.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
why would I spend this on a wedding when I can have this in my kitchen? You know, like I get that. I
Exactly.
completely understand that.
And I don't like anyone enough to spend the money to have the wedding, you know?
Well, hopefully your fiance won't be listening to this episode.
Oh, he probably will.
Okay.
He wants to know everything I have to say.
Well, that's good. We love a supportive man.
Yeah.
We love, that's in right now. A strong, supportive man who is confident enough to hear someone talking shit about him
Exactly.
in a podcast.
But we love you.
But yes, we love him. So you are a realtor
I am.
and you've been doing it for how long now?
September will be 10 years.
Shut up.
A whole decade.
You're old.
I know.
Wait,
I got my license when I was 14.
No, you didn't.
No.
Okay. When did you actually get your license?
When I was 21.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yep, I was up in Orlando at UCF flunking. And I didn't know what to do. So I said, what every bartender says, I'm going to go get my real estate license. So I went to the course, quit my job, had no money. I literally thought that I was just going to start selling homes. And I feel like that's what everyone thinks is going to happen.
Yes.
It's
And I
so
definitely want to
easy.
talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone thinks it's easy. You're going to make money, that you're just like looking at these gorgeous houses all day. And that is so not the reality.
No.
And I learned that quick. And I ended up actually moving back home from Orlando
Okay.
to Fort Myers, moved in with my mom, was still in college.
Okay.
So I finished college first, and then I was like, let me really give this a shot. And it's just been a lot of trial and error. I've started my business and stopped it. I've moved brokerages. It's been a lot.
And that's something too, I noticed that it really, I mean, it does take a lot of time. And especially I feel like here where it's like a small town. I mean, everyone probably already knows someone who's a real estate agent. So
Yeah.
how do you set yourself apart when these people probably already have like 10 different people that they could work with, and it is so saturated and everyone wants to be a realtor?
Yes, everyone wants to be one. And then they start and they fail within the first year or two.
Yeah,
And
that's
is
me.
just a statistic.
I
Did you get your license? Stop.
What?
Should I keep looking at this?
No, I'm looking because I want to make sure I don't look like a colonial man.
I know my hair looks weird.
No, you
but-
look great. I'm just looking. No, I'm looking at the time.
Okay.
So I got my license back in 2017,
Okay.
and it was like
In
I wanna
Florida?
do- In Florida,
Okay.
I was like, I want to do real estate because everyone thinks it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
And I sold one house, so it at least covered the expenses. And I was like, fuck this. This is too much, because it is a lot. And I was not in the place where I had like mentally, like I did not have the energy to put in what I realized that it would need. I think it's a great thing to have, even if you're not actively using it, if you're going to buy a property, and just to also learn so much about the topic. But it was just not, I think a lot of people go into it expecting it to be flexible and, oh, I can make my own schedule. It's like, no, there's open houses. Your weekends are basically shot. You have to be at everyone's beck and call when they want to see a house. So, I mean, how did you create the stability in this role? Like, how did you get to a point where you're like, okay, I feel good about this. I feel confident in what I'm doing. I'm starting to build my clientele. Like, what did you do to set yourself apart?
Fake it till you make it. I'm so serious. I mean, I never would be like, I think I've always been very authentic, but in a way that was also somewhat like faking it, whether it was on social media or when I was talking to people. You know, I used a lot of leverage from my brokerage and team and acted like these were my deals, my sales, my houses that I had for sale. And that was okay. I had permission to do so. And it made people gain trust in me for no reason. I mean, it was a mirage, I would say.
You also had, I think, being younger and having the social media experience, you probably leveraged that because I'm sure, 10 years ago when you came in and moved back here, it was probably still a lot of older people doing it, right? Like, was there a young demographic really in real estate as much?
So I think the whole population of Naples, it's 50% of them actually have a real estate license.
Okay.
And that the average agent is about 65 years old. So this is something that I would tell people. I would say, listen, I understand that you might want to go with Jerry from XYZ brokerage because he closes 30 homes a month. He is too busy for you. I don't have any sales right now. I don't have any clients. You are going to be my main focus. And I'm going to work very hard because I need the money and I'm hungry. Yeah. And guess what? I was in a meeting with Jerry. And Jerry's so old, he was falling asleep. Okay? And I'm like, trust me. I'm like,
Jerry's on his last leg. Okay.
Yeah.
Jerry could die at any time.
Exactly. I'm like, listen, I'm going to be able to put your house on YouTube. I'm going to be able to market your property. I have a lot of new age techniques. You know, we're not.
So how would they respond to that when you would kind of pitch yourself? Like, what was the typical response? Because I feel like that shows confidence versus some people would be like, oh my God, I don't have clients yet. Like, it would make them feel like they're in this, bad position versus you leverage that to say, hey, I have time to take care of you. I have social media experience. That's where the market's going. You need to be on social media if you want to sell your house, you want to buy a house. So how would they act? And like, how did you start to get your first few clients?
Some people really respected my honesty.
Yeah, I would think so.
A lot of times during my pitches and my meetings, especially in the beginning, I fully blacked out. I didn't know what I was saying.
I would do that.
I do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like disassociate completely.
Out of body experience.
Yeah. How do you feel right now? Are you here?
No. I've had too much caffeine. I'm shaking so badly.
And I gave you more espresso when I saw the Celsius. I'm so sorry.
I know. And this is like not good, but this is how I function.
Yeah. As a mom too, I have way too much. I do 4 shots a day. Like in the morning. Is that a lot?
Of vodka?
Well, that's at night. I do 4 shots of espresso in the morning. And then I typically do like my afternoon little pick me up that I get excited for.
Yeah. No, I don't think that's a lot.
No, yeah.
It's mommy fuel.
Yeah.
We need it.
But I think that says so much about you is even if it's fake it till you make it, I think you exude confidence and you're fine with saying, hey, I'm new to this, but I'm going to put my all into it. And you came into an industry that was probably male dominated and like boomer dominated. And that's hard and that's intimidating. And I'm sure there were people that didn't like that you were coming into their world and taking their clients. And I'm sure you got a lot of that too. So
for sure. But going back to the whole fake it till you make it thing, I'm telling you, I would have to be driving people around. And I was in a 2001 Toyota Camry.
Okay.
It was a piece of crap. And I would pull up to these showings and I acted like I was getting out of a Maserati.
I love that.
And to be honest, my second or third sale, I met this guy. I was so nervous to go meet him and his mom in my Toyota Camry. And I was like, you have to follow me around because also there's like a huge liability about putting people in your car that I didn't realize when I was younger. So.
Oh, what is, yeah. Well,
just like if I were to get into an accident, like my insurance has to cover them. And also like, who knows what else they could do coming for your business.
That's true. I wouldn't even think of that.
Yeah. So plus honestly, having your clients follow you around in the car gives them time to like talk and, have space away from you.
So you do that now?
I do.
You don't drive anyone?
No. I mean, unless they like highly request it
Does
or
anyone highly request, like, I need you to drive me around?
sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Don't do that if you're listening. It's annoying.
I mean, you got to be okay listening to Drake the whole time because I need to pump myself up. But anyway, so that client that I was so nervous about meeting ended up telling me that they loved my car and that they were going to need a vehicle because they were visiting from up north. This would be a second home for them. They'd only be down here like once or twice a year. And probably 6 months later, bought that car from me for $800.
Well, that worked out for you.
It worked out perfect.
Yeah.
So this thing that I was so ashamed of, instead of, a lot of times, honestly, I would call my mom and be like, Mom, can I use your car? Calling friends, can I use your car? I have this client. We're going to go see, $300,000 homes. I shouldn't even be trying so hard to impress these people. I want to work with people who want to work with me and who I really am. I don't want to have to sit here and lie to everyone and fake this whole persona.
Yeah.
I can fake it till I make it, but I'm not going to fake being who I am.
No, and that's what I love about you is that you're successful and you're still able to be yourself, and you don't put on like what you see is what you get. You don't put on the show. You're bougie but like funny, and I just love it. When I hear about embarrassing cars, my first car. Do you remember the Lumina vans that looked like a spaceship that had the nose?
No. Must be before my time.
This is before you were born. That's when I was driving. So it was like this, like it was a minivan and the nose was like pointy. And I would drive to a friend's house to go in her car to school because I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I would have friends that when I was like leaving, pulling away from their house, they would like stand in front of it and act like they were like the airplane guys. And when you open the minivan door, it would do this little song. Like it would sing a little
No.
like it was this cute little song.
That's fun.
But you know what? I embrace that now. You know where I came from. And then I went from that to the car that I have now. And I think there's so much in embracing where you are, even if you want to get somewhere else, but accepting this is where I am now. And if I hold that as like something that I'm ashamed of, it's just going to hold me back from getting to where I really want to be.
Exactly.
So what does your day look like now that you have baby with real estate and the crazy schedule? So how are you balancing it now as a mom?
I really haven't found my balance yet. I think
it takes a while.
Yeah. I think once he's in daycare, it'll be a lot easier for me. Before I used to blog and do a lot of marketing and advertising, and I was really hustling to get business. And now I just kind of have everything run on its own automated system. I have a lot of tools that I use, and I have a team that I rely on because no day is ever the same. And it's just everything's unpredictable. You have to time block and have a schedule and have good time management. But when you're a mom and you're home with your kid, I mean, when he was really little, probably like 8 weeks old, I remember taking a call from a neighbor who wanted to sell her condo. And my son probably cried in his crib for 35 minutes while I took that call. And I was like, I felt so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. And I wanted to get off the phone so badly. But at the same time, I'm like, we need this money. This is what's going to get you some formula. So please stop crying. I love you.
Well, and that's a really hard, especially when they're so young, you feel that maternal, like, okay, my baby's crying, like it's the end of the world. Versus, I mean, second born, it's like, they're going to cry. Like, you got to do what you got to do. But it's still like having to work when that's going on, that's something like men will never understand. Like having that mom, that feeling in your gut as a mom when you're having to do something and like your kid might need you, or like knowing that the nap is ending and your kid could wake up at any second. The suspense of the feeling of like you're on a big call and like your kid's about to scream at any second. Those little things you really have to adapt. And I remember being self-conscious of that, like in the beginning in my business. But then it's also something like if you're gonna like, if you want to work with me, like I want to work with someone who likes who I am. So now my kids, if they're screaming, like That's who I am.
Yeah, this is my reality.
If you can't work with someone who is real and might have a kid in the background, or maybe my kid's on my lap for a Zoom call and that bothers you, I don't want to work with you anyways. You know, it's just part of it.
Right. I'm still showing up. I'm still working hard. You know, I'm being a mom. I'm running a business.
Yeah.
My kid is part of that business. I mean,
Exactly.
he's about to get on the payroll for marketing. He is. He's going to be rich. He's going to be set up for life, you know?
Little mascot.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but something.
Well, let's get into the market.
Okay.
Because it's not my thing. It's my husband is much better at this than I am. But I think there's still a lot of people that feel very unsure right now of where things are going. A lot of people want to buy their first home, but I think they've been kind of traumatized. So what do you see going on now, at least for Southwest Florida, in terms of buying, renting? I mean, what should people do that are like, I really want to buy it, but I'm scared?
You know, I'm always going to say, if you want to buy a house, because the rates will come down. You can refinance.
Yeah.
Sure, you're going to be looking at a higher payment for a few months, but it's about your lifestyle and your happiness. So when you feel it's a good time is when it's a good time. Rates are going to come down. So you do have the option to buy and refinance. I would suggest buying now, because when the rates do go down, everyone's going to start buying.
Yeah.
Prices are going to go up. There's going to be a lot more competition. And unfortunately, I mean, I'm still seeing multiple offer situations on, you know, homes that I would say are good deals, where there was one property I just lost for my clients who were looking to purchase because they had over 30 offers where people were still paying cash, waiving inspections. I mean, it's still happening. The problem with where we live is it's such a second, third, fourth home market that so many people come down and they're not even, you know, looking at prices. They're just like, this is the house I like, this is the location, and I'm going to live here for a year or two, which I don't understand. I have so many people who, you know, take the capital gains hit all of the time because they just don't care. Or I guess maybe they can write it off as a loss. But I'm like, let's like live in the home and love the home. But if you're like a first-time home buyer, which tends to be my demographic is first-time home buyers, just naturally working with people my age, friends, family, people who get referred to me, I would say buy now before the rates go down, because it's going to be a frenzy.
Because I feel like the pricing is getting a little bit better. I feel like it's come down a little bit where it's not overinflated.
It's not as overinflated, but the sellers have not lost their dream of this unrealistic price. So a lot of homes are still really overpriced. You're going to see a lot of days on market, which is good for you if you're a buyer. But as a seller, I mean, you definitely want to be priced appropriately. Yeah. Because the longer people look and see how many days it's been on the market, I mean, they're going to say, what's wrong with the house?
Yeah. So as a first-time home buyer, is there an area right now that you feel might be booming? Or like if someone doesn't want to move to Naples and, you know, it's too expensive, or they don't want to be too far away, is there a space that you would suggest?
Yeah, I would go new construction. I think new construction is your best opportunity. A lot of builder incentives. Your agent can get you a lot of incentives as well. There's tons of homes that are being developed still off of Corkscrew. Okay. Or even in Fort Myers. Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely would avoid anywhere that's in a flood zone, because insurance is still a bit of an issue right now. We had a lot of carriers leave after the hurricane, but slowly they're coming back. I think it'll be more reasonable. But the thing is, as a first-time home buyer, when you walk into a new construction home, you're going to get, you know, it's just going to be more affordable. You're not going to have to walk in and replace the roof. Yeah. Or your water heater is going to break. Yeah. The big home ownership expenses. And a lot of times as a first-time home buyer, you're putting all of your money down to purchase. Yeah. You know, you want to make sure that you have some funds left for when things go wrong, not for the fence that you want to build or for the new kitchen you want to design.
So what are some things going into buying a home that you think people need to consider that maybe they don't really think about? So if they're looking into a home, they're like, I love this house. Like, what are some key, like 3 things that, okay, well, did you check this to make sure that it's okay? Because this could be a problem. Obviously, like the roof is can be a major issue because it's a big expense.
Yeah, I guess I should actually be saying buy the houses with the bad roofs, because you should call Epic Roofing and have them come out and fix the roof.
I know, I was a little shameless plug. Well, I know some people. But I think, younger people, I think they feel very intimidated.
Well, I actually do feel like they should be intimidated, because this is going to be the biggest purchase of your life. I mean, you don't want to make a mistake. And that's where having a real honest agent who's going to tell you, the pros and cons will work in your favor. So if you're just starting to look, I would say figuring out your monthly payment and what insurance is going to cost you, calculate it into that monthly payment. If there's HOA fees, what the property taxes are going to be, because it's easy to say, okay, on a $300,000 home at a 6% interest rate, this is what my monthly payment's going to be. But you forget that you have to pay taxes and HOA fees. You forget that one day things are not going to be working. I mean, it could just be your microwave, which could be a $300 expense, or it could be a $5,000 water heater that you have
or
to,
ACs, which go out like
all the time.
All
in
the
Florida.
time. Yeah. We have 3 in our house, and at this point, we've finally replaced them all. But it's just you have to know that that's a constant when you're here, because they're running 24/7.
Yeah, it's terrible. Next, I would say location. You really want to make sure that you're in a location that's going to work for your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So many people, they get sold on a dream of a certain house because it's a good deal. And then you get off work, especially if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're sitting in traffic 30 minutes to an hour to get home. I mean, you better really love that house. And you have to think about your future. Are you going to have kids? Are the schools good by where you're moving to?
Yeah.
Who are your neighbors? Are you okay being in an HOA community where everyone might want to know your business, or do you need some land?
What do you think of HOAs?
I think they're good and they're bad. I think it really depends on if you have a strong reserve in your community, then it's good. A lot of these HOAs, they're not prepared. So when the hurricane hit, a lot of people had to get assessments done.
We had to, especially you.
You did? For what?
No, there's been a lot spent on things that are really fucking dumb. So I would like to be a part of what changes that, because I think with the demographic changing, HOAs need to follow suit. No one wants a yellow house anymore.
Right.
No one wants everything beige. No one wants...
People love beige.
No one wants clubhouses to look like a library straight out of 1995. So there are things that are more important now, like catering to children, younger families, right?
Maybe. It's wild that none of these communities have playgrounds. Why is there not a playground?
Our playground looks like it belongs behind a crack den.
Oh my God.
Our playground is somewhere that if you were like, hey, I feel like getting some tetanus today, where should I go? I'd be like, I know just the place for you. This playground right here. That's what I would suggest. I don't even let my kids go in there. It's like in Lion King, like that's where the shadow hits. You don't go over that way, because they would get hurt because it's so old. But you know what's important? A bingo table.
Shuffleboard. Bocce ball.
Artwork in the clubhouse that looks like the library. Making sure we have a desktop.
Yeah. They always have that room for the celebration of life, the funerals, after party. Gotta have that room.
It's bad. And I'm fine saying it, because it's something that people need to accept. So that's something as well. I think if you are a younger family moving into a community, what does that look like? Also check the Facebook pages of the communities. I mean, if you can infiltrate them, because I know one community that I used to live in that it's just constant drama. It's a lot of young families, but like they're having like a towing issue where cars that are parked on the street for like 10 minutes, I'll see like the post like, the towing company is coming. They're taking the car.
What? Oh.
And they'll just go in and straight up tow these people within seconds. And it's like so you have to think about the community too. Like you said, go on Nextdoor, do your research, because if there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of problems. I mean, property management's the turnover and that's always high, but still, what kind of issues are these people dealing with? Because it could be too much that you're like, it's not even worth moving in here. And I'm glad that I got out of that one when we did, because it's gotten serious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely some things to consider. And then, I mean, what do you see happening with this region? Because everything's been booming. They're building everywhere. It's insane. Traffic has gotten
It's very
bad.
sad. As someone who grew up here, to see all of the development, I mean, we're starting to look like Miami or Boca, rather, because Boca's a little bit more high end.
Yeah.
Especially down in Naples. Like, one of the saddest things I saw in the last year was I was in a new construction community down in Naples, and as soon as I pulled out of the gate, there was a family of deer, and the deer have nowhere to go.
It's so sad.
And I feel terrible for them. I mean, I feel bad for all of our wildlife that we have here, and everything's going to continue to grow, and in a way, it's very unfortunate, especially for people,
I
you know,
agree.
like us who live here.
I think at least one of the pros of all the development and younger people coming down, which sucks, is like, well, we're getting the trendier places. I think there's a lot of business opportunity for young people right now because it's not very saturated. Like, it's saturated, but not, you know, like there's not a lot of groups of young people getting together, or, you know, there's a lot of young female entrepreneurs that are popping up, which I think is awesome to see, and younger families coming in. But I know I'm curious to see what it's going to be like 5 years from now.
I know. It'll be interesting.
So what is your goal for 2024? What do you have going on? I know you're building your house.
Yeah, honestly.
How has that been? Let's talk about that.
It's okay. So we're building the house. It's owner builder. So we don't have a general contractor, which is definitely cutting a lot of the cost out, but it's adding a lot of stress and just like, what order are we supposed to be doing everything in?
I don't know how you're handling that. That's a lot.
Yeah, between that and my son, I mean, we took him to Ferguson to go look at a bathtub, and I was like, can I just put my child in this tub while I walk around and look at toilets and light fixtures, because he's running around like a crazy man.
This age is hard. This age is
is.
psycho. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love him, so I want to bring him everywhere with me, but then it's like the mental capacity that I have to make these decisions every day. I mean, it's insane what I have to decide on, and a lot of times things just get thrown at me. Like, I was told last night that I had to pick a tub today, and I'm like, how?
So what are some trends that you're seeing in homes now? So if someone's interested in, you know, buying and redoing a home, like, you know, for me, we'll be renovating, and it's like, I know all white's kind of going out a little bit. So what are some things that you're seeing in, you know, new homes that you're showing, and what you're doing for your house?
White and gray is definitely kind of making its way out. Moody earth tones. So lots of browns, lots of like deep, darker blues and greens are in. And it really just kind of depends. I see a lot of people going more like, I want to call it like a Scandinavian style home.
Yeah.
You know, it's really just kind of what fits your lifestyle. Obviously, here in Florida, it's coastal, a lot of fig and olive trees.
Yeah.
But like the browns are in.
Then wood.
Wood is back. Wood is back. A lot of things that were out even just like a few years ago are coming back around. And I think it's really based on how you style it. You know,
but it is, I'm noticing it seems to be lighter wood versus like the dark. So not the wood that I have, that'll never be in again, like in my kitchen, but the lighter.
Yeah. The darker
natural
wood, that's kind of like that Eastern Mediterranean vibe. I mean, gross. No, just kidding.
Yeah. I don't like looking at my kitchen, and I hate being that person, because at the end of the day, I don't care, but I'm ready to revamp it all, especially if I'm going to stay in this house forever. I'm like, I want it to look nice.
Yeah.
Or like my espresso machine, have its own little spot.
Or like put it in the wall. Really fancy.
Oh yeah. I just, you know, all I want is the fridge that blends in, where you just open
a built-in fridge.
A built-in fridge.
So
that's like, is that too much to ask?
Yeah, it's like $10,000 to $15,000. We looked at one for our house, and I got all of the appliances for $15,000. So to spend that on the fridge, it's gonna break us.
Well, there's some really nice fridges though now, at least. Like there's some really pretty, more aesthetically pleasing ones.
Yeah, there's a cafe line now, so it's all white and gold.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Beautiful.
Yeah. Gold and brass is really having a moment.
If I did have something showing, it would be something like that. And then the silver, like the stainless steel appliances, are out.
No, I mean, it's either gold or brass or black. No one's going silver anymore. But I mean, mixed metals are very, like, to me, very charming
Mm-hmm.
in a home. So I mean, you can still have the silver and have it different accents throughout everywhere. I mean, the cost of these faucets is like $600 to $700 just for a faucet sink. Like, I don't know. I watch girls on TikTok and I see them paint them, and I'm like, I feel like that's gonna tarnish. I don't know if that's the best
I can't
idea.
go that far. I'm seeing a lot of things. Yeah, or they paint the countertops even.
No, don't do that.
No.
Do not paint your countertops.
But I see a lot of people doing it. I'm like, that doesn't look like a good idea. I feel like it won't last.
You have to ask them to show it to you in 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, think about it. Think about putting, hot dishware on paint. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
Cutting your food. I mean, now you have lead in your food and all this other. Don't paint your countertops.
No, I just want lead in my water.
Yeah.
That's it.
What were we looking at last night our bathtubs. They said last night I'm buying a tub off of West Elm, and it said, be careful soaking in this tub for too long. You will be exposed to lead.
How is that legal that they can do that?
I don't know.
Because they told you, hey, like, who else is reading though? Who else is looking at a tub and like looking for the disclaimer of like,
no one.
that's messed up.
So
That's so American.
circling back to me not liking tubs.
Not only am I soaking in my own filth, but now there's lead mixed in.
Yeah.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
It's disgusting.
So if someone is watching this and they're like, okay, I think I'm ready to start looking into buying my first home, what's the first thing that they should do besides go on Zillow? Even though the Zestimates, I know those are not always accurate, so don't trust the Zillow, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
that's not,
don't.
yeah.
I mean, it'll give you a range, and it helps. A lot of agents are quick to jump on the bandwagon of, Zillow's not accurate or it sucks. But at the end of the day, it's a tool for people who aren't really ready yet or aren't sure what they're doing. So I don't want to discredit the website at all. But first thing, I mean, most agents would tell you, get pre-approved. Definitely get your finances in order.
Yeah.
Have the same job for the first 6 months. Don't make any plans to make any large purchases anytime soon. Don't make plans to quit your job anytime soon, because those are all going to affect you being able to get a loan. But I mean, definitely start like looking at locations and areas. If you're not ready to talk to a lender and get pre-approved, drive around to different communities, see what area you want to be in, like envision yourself in different homes and really figure out, like, I like a pro and con list, or like a top 10 feature list. Like, what are things that are like non-negotiable? What is something you must have? Do you need a pool right now, or can you put a pool in a year or two?
Yeah. What do you think of communities like Babcock Ranch communities? You can be honest. And if anything, if it gets too dark, I'll cut it out.
No, I mean, I think Babcock is a great community, especially for families.
I think so too.
I mean, I haven't been out there in a really long time, but I know they have like food trucks on Fridays and Saturdays with live music, kids running around, splash pads. If you want to feel like you never have to leave your community, I think it's a great fit. But that's like someone's lifestyle, where for me, I want to be on the water. A lot of people want property for animals or just for their kids to run around, which you don't really get there. And you also have to deal with fees and management. You have to be okay with
you need to consider, I think it's very important to consider the lifestyle for living in that space. I could never be someone that's just like, I'm going to move here because it's a great deal. Like, I need to know what my drive to work is going to look like, or what my drive to the kids' school. I'm not the kind of person, like, I already know this and I respect anyone that does it, but like, I don't want to drive 30 to 40 minutes to take my kid to school every day. Like, how would you want to get out of bed when you know that you got that ahead of you? That you're just going to drop them off and turn right back around. That sounds, I did that as a nanny. I would have to pick them up from school, and even just picking them up and driving them home, like, this sucks.
Yeah.
So that's important to me. That's really important to me. So like right now where we are, my kid's school is pretty close and it's convenient. So it's, if I have stuff going on, it's not like a big chunk of my day, and I'm willing to sacrifice things, like I wish we had a bigger backyard. But the location for me makes up for that, because everything is, 5-10 minutes away.
Oh no, you're in the perfect location.
See, you hear that? You heard that from the
from the
horse's mouth. I don't want to leave.
No, why would you?
That's well. Then
I mean, I know
yeah.
why, but yeah.
But yeah. So those are some good things to consider, and I think that people should definitely educate themselves. But I don't think it's like as scary as they, like don't buy a home now, because there's going to be a reason to say that, especially with how our country's been. Like people, I feel like are going to be saying that forever at this point. Like,
Yeah.
don't buy.
Oh yeah. But every agent will tell you it's the best time to buy. It's always the best time to buy.
Yeah. With Amanda.
Yes.
So, what do you do for fun then? If you don't watch Love is Blind, what are some things that you do as a hobby?
Is shopping a hobby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my hobbies.
That's probably my biggest hobby. I like to go to the beach, but I don't like to go in the water.
Same.
Just like to be at the beach.
I like to lay
atmosphere.
out and just relax. I don't go into the ocean.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know anymore. I've totally lost my identity becoming a mom.
Yeah.
Just like the things that I used to do, unacceptable.
But you're still can't party anymore. But you still have, I mean, it's still so new too. I remember feeling that way. Like, who am I?
Yeah.
Like in Mulan, like when she's looking in the water, it's like, who the fuck, who am I looking at? And I think that something so beautiful and empowering is like, yes, you do completely break down into a million pieces, and like everything that you knew has destroyed your life is turned upside down. But I think you get to rebuild to something so much better. I think it's just very uncomfortable in the first year or two that you're doing it, because it's so scary and unknown and everything is so new. But I feel like if one thing, I think having kids definitely improved my confidence, because you have to become confident as a mom. You're now advocating for somebody else. So you have to stand up for them. And it's a lot of practice in that. And I think it brings a lot to the table in terms of your own self-worth,
Oh, yeah. It's not easy, but you will like find your voice.
Yeah, exactly.
And it'll be louder than ever.
Yeah, especially you who already had a strong personality. Now you're just like,
oh, I used to get mad over the smallest things. And now, I mean, if one more stranger comes up and touches my son's foot, I'm going to be
what
in
do you
prison.
do? Okay, so what do you do? What do you do when someone does that or makes a comment? Because as soon as you're pregnant, your body suddenly belongs to everybody else, and everyone can make a comment like, oh, wait, are you going to be breastfeeding? Are you going to have your baby naturally? And like all these questions that are none of their business.
Yeah. Oh, you're
How do
so
you react?
big. You look like you're having twins. Oh, my God. God, when people come up, it really depends on the person and kind of where I'm at mentally. Because I probably won't say anything and then go back home and all day think about the hundreds of things that I would have done. Yeah, or said.
Have you snapped at anybody yet?
Oh, come on. Do you know me?
Well, that's why I was probing for a story.
I know. I'm trying to think of a good example. But I mean, there's just, oh, God. There's one that I probably shouldn't say.
I want to know.
I know.
You can say it. I can cut it out if you want me to. If you change your mind.
I'm trying to remember all the details though. But I mean, the thing is, you just have to set your own boundaries.
Yeah.
Right? And then you kind of realize, like, I didn't leave the house the first 3 months after having my son. I was so anxious that something was going to happen in the car more than anything.
Me too. I was terrified that I was going to leave Nash in the car because I was not used to having him. I was so scared that I was going to forget him in the car and go somewhere and just like leave. That was my number one fear. So I didn't go anywhere either.
Yeah. And it sounds crazy. Oh, how could you leave your child in the car? But the amount of things that are going through your mind, and then when you're so exhausted, I mean, it could be...
Your hormones are crazy, you're sleep deprived, you're not yourself, and then all of a sudden you have this responsibility that you haven't had for, almost 30 years of your life. It's very feasible to, like, forget.
Oh, yeah. Or just, like, you're going to forget the milk, or you're going to forget snacks or diapers. I mean, yeah, you can run into every store and get something, but who wants to just like feel that panic and anxiety?
It's very overwhelming in the beginning, for sure. I remember the first time I walked into a Target, and it was like our first time out with me and Ash. And the thing is, people don't help, because like he started crying, and I was getting judgmental looks from people because my baby was crying. And so that, in combination with already being super anxious, I was like, fuck this. And I remember walking out and I cried in my car.
Oh, yeah. I cry in my car all the time. I mean, there was one time I couldn't get my stroller to close. So I just picked the whole thing up and threw it in the trunk. Luckily, my car's big enough. But I mean, I was literally contemplating, do I leave my $1,200 stroller here in the parking lot because I can't get it to close?
Yeah.
I'm sweating, the kid's crying. I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't eaten. Like, come on.
Yeah. But you feel better now. Like,
Oh, I feel great. I think after the 4-month sleep regression, everything was kind of smooth sailing other than like the few teething nights.
yeah.
But once I started really like realizing I could do everything and more than I had ever done before.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I can do these things. Like, I hate the moms that are like, and I'm sorry, I don't want to say that I hate any moms, but, oh, I didn't have time to shower. Are you out of your mind? First of all, I don't care if you don't have any help. Your kid can go in the shower with you. If you need to shower, your kid probably does too. You know, you can put them in a tub while you shower. You can go in the tub with them and rinse off. I mean,
Yeah.
there should be no excuses for a lot of things.
Yeah, I get that. I think some moms will wear it as like a badge of honor that they are sacrificing everything, right? Even their own like hygiene. Like they put everything aside for their children. And that's what I don't ever want to be, because if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you fully taking care of your child and like the best version of you as a mom? So I put myself first in a day-to-day scenario, because if I'm calm, if I feel good, if I'm doing things that bring me joy, like this podcast or whatever it is, even though my kids, I have my nanny or my kids in school, I'm a better mom when I see them because I'm happy with myself and I took care of myself. So I think the martyrdom of motherhood is something that I don't really,
Yeah, you want to start some controversy?
Well, I see it. I could see it in your eyes, and I was like, "What is this bitch gonna say?"
What do you think is harder, being a working mom or being a stay-at-home mom? Dun dun dun.
Oh, I think they both suck. I think it's choosing your heart, because I could not personally be a stay-at-home mom with my personality and how I am. And again, I like having my business that makes me happy, but there are also moms that I feel like are truly happy staying at home. Okay, so I'm not going to lie, I don't get along with a lot of moms. I think because of what you're saying, which I understand what you're saying is like just the vibe of like, I mean, is it also like kind of putting working moms down a little bit? Like,
right.
do you think that's what it is, the judgment.
Yeah. We can't win.
No, you can't win. And regardless, you can't win. And I think so. A quote that I've probably already said a million times on here, but the book Untamed by Glennon Doyle, she says like something along the lines of like the biggest burden a child can bear is the life of an unfulfilled parent. So I think at the end of the day, that's what matters. It's the fact that if you want to be home with your kids and that's important to you, good for you. Do it. That's great. It's fucking hard. I couldn't do it myself. But if you're doing it to like prove something or to be a martyr and say that you're doing it, and it's not for like, you don't feel like you're filling your cup, it's going to come back down the road when like your kids leave the house and you're like, who am I?
Oh, exactly. What about the stay-at-home mom who one day finds out her husband is cheating on her? And now you have no income and nowhere to go.
It's getting really dark.
Well, it just like blows my mind. Like I have so many ideas for people. If you just want to have a little bit of income or a little bit of your own independence and not relying on a man, I get it when it's a family. And trust me, there's times all the time I think, oh, I should just quit my job and stay at home with my son at least like these first couple years. Yeah. At least until he's like in school. But then I'm like, what if one day something happened? Someone passed or
you
even
killed
worse.
him.
Yeah.
I know what you're really thinking.
I know. So,
if someone ever told me like your husband passed, I would be like,
oh my God. I've had so many friends say, hey, I have this really good location if something ever happens.
That's why you're a realtor.
Exactly.
You want to know all the places.
Exactly. For the dead bodies.
So, no, I completely agree. I think it's important to prepare for all the scenarios and to feel, okay, worst case scenario, I can take care of myself.
Exactly.
And I like feeling that. And also for my children, if something were to happen, you know, this is what I would do. I have my business established. I feel good about it. You said there were some ideas for like side hustles. Like what's something you would suggest for someone who is like looking for something
I
to
mean,
make some extra money?
you can make so much money, obviously, on social media.
Yeah.
But there's just like so many work from home jobs and opportunities. I probably have a list on my phone, to be honest. I mean, you could start writing blogs for people. You can do reviews. I mean, there's always something. I think you need to do something you're passionate about,
Yeah.
you know, and something that's going to drive you. I think it's great if you're at a job that you hate because it will inspire you one day to be like, I'm so done with this. This is what I really want to do with my life.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like trying to get some extra income, reach out to me.
Awesome.
I got some ideas.
Well, what would you say to someone who wants to be a realtor? Because I know we talked about like a lot of people think that that's like an easy side hustle, which it's definitely not at all.
It's not. So
what would you recommend?
I put some notes down.
Ooh,
actually.
I love it. Okay.
So definitely, like if you're thinking about getting your license, I would start by maybe finding a mentor or finding someone who's really successful and live their day to day, because you don't realize that no one is there to really help you. You're your own boss. It's a 24/7 job. People will call and text you. And in the beginning, you're going to be so hungry to get a deal done. You're going to respond when it's like you really need to set boundaries for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I would have clients that would be messaging me or emailing me in the middle of the night, and I felt the need to respond. But that's not realistic. Like, you have to like run it like a business.
What would you do now if a client messaged you in the middle of the night?
Oh,
It's like, Amanda, what do you think of this house? I was like,
no, I'm so dead asleep right now. Like, there's just no chance. And honestly, I'm probably not getting back to you until like the middle of the day, because
have
I'm
you ever
putting
had to
myself
say,
first.
hey, these are my hours, bitch?
You know, I used to try to think that way of like, oh, I'm going to put on my voicemail, like, if this is after 6 o'clock, like, your call will be returned the next business day. But here's what pisses me off. If you're going to message me at 4 o'clock in the morning and then I message you back at 4:10 and you're like, oh, I didn't think you would be awake right now. Why did you send me the message? Why are we having a conversation at 4 o'clock in the morning? Because I'm up, you know, and you're probably drunk, honestly. Like, if you're messaging me.
Do you wake up
early.
at 4?
I used to pre-mom life, before all the exhaustion. I was going to Orange Theory, and then I was going to work. It's crazy. I like to get everything done like as soon as possible, and then I like to, you know, have my free time.
Yeah. So what's your schedule like now?
It's just so hard. It changes every day.
It's just unpredictable.
And there's even pre-baby. You can't predict it, you know, because like you'll be out showing properties and someone calls you and they want to see a house, or maybe you're having to work from home and someone can't get into their lockbox that you're listing, and now you got to jump in the car and drive 30 minutes. So there's really no schedule, and that's kind of real estate in a way. But I don't know. You got to be strict and have discipline.
I was going to ask you your tips for that, because I think people go into it thinking freedom, flexibility, I can do whatever I want. But the hardest thing can be holding yourself accountable when you don't have a boss, when you are your own boss. It's not that easy, because you let a lot of things slide with yourself sometimes, and you have to treat it like it's, you know, this is your business. This is a job. So you might not want to do that social media post for the house and it's late at night, but like, how do you hold yourself accountable?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. A lot of caffeine.
Yeah.
And
same.
a lot of negative self-talk, to be honest. I mean, there's definitely no one is going to make sure that you get paid. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Only you can make sure that you get paid. And I think the hardest part is just, I mean, there's days I don't want to talk to anyone or see anyone, but I'm not going to make any money if I don't pick up the phone.
What do you do on those days
people?
when you're like, or your kid was up all night and there's things you have to do and you're like, this is the last thing I want to fucking do right now? How do you get yourself? Is it the negative self-talk?
It's the negative self-talk. I definitely sit there for like 10 minutes and, you know, just like hate everything, question my choices in life. How did I get here? Why am I doing this as a job? When can I quit? Should I just
really
move?
inspiring. Thank you so much.
But to be honest, a lot of times going outside, getting in my car, having the sun beat down on me, and then blasting some music that really just kind of like pumps you
Music
up.
is so helpful. I love a good playlist. That motivates me.
Me too.
Yeah, I've been really into Tate McRae. I feel like a grandma because she's like 12. But
Yeah.
I've been into some. You're like, that's stupid.
I don't even know who that is.
We're old.
I'm listening to like OT Genesis in my car, like,
Nice. For me, I think having a routine, so there's less to think about. Because when you think is when you fuck shit up.
Yep.
If you have it established and you're used to it and you just kind of get used to just going through the motions without having to think, oh, should I do this? And like doubt yourself. And then next thing you know, you're talking yourself out of it. And then a lot of times, especially now that I got an espresso machine, it's like, I just have to make it to the machine.
Yeah.
Like, and then it's sad. But if I can just get up and just make it over there, and make my coffee, it's like, okay, then I know I'll wake up a little bit and then I start my day, so I just have to, the first few steps are going to suck. And then as soon as I get there, things will start getting better.
Yeah. I mean, you just got to get into motion, right? Because a lot of times I'll open up my system and I'll see, oh, I got like 30 people to call. And some of them I know are just going to be rude, or I don't even know what I'm going to say to these people. But then I make that first phone call and then it's like, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just in motion.
The momentum.
Calling everyone. Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you like need to not be calling someone that day, I mean, go online, make your social media post, write a blog.
You have an email list. Do you use that a lot?
I do.
Yeah.
So I have a system, like a CRM system that I use that kind of automates a lot of stuff for me.
That's good.
And then I will go through my call list and call everyone. Everyone's on an email blast. I mean, when I came over to your house the first time and I got your address, I think I left here the next day.
You sent me an email and I was like, what the?
It's all the homes for sale in your community and everything that just
I didn't
sold.
even ask for that. I was like.
Like, well, I have your phone number, email address, house address, and
love it.
Now you're getting emails.
Yeah, I love it. I love seeing an email from you because I'm like, you go, you boss bitch.
Yeah, and I mean, who doesn't? I mean, it's giving you access to what's happening in your
and
community.
I'll click on
right
it. I want to
away.
know. I want to know what's been selling. I want to know what it's saying like the value of my houses. I think there's been some great insight, and you'll be like, you have the just sold in my neighborhood, and I'm like, that's who.
Yeah, and everyone who gets the emails from me, they thank me all the time. They really do. They're like, oh, this was so nice. Like, I love being able to know this. It's like, of course, we're nosy neighbors.
Yeah, and it's gonna sound like a broken record, but today, I don't know if you noticed on the way here that Meta crashed.
No.
Facebook and Instagram are not working.
I don't have Instagram.
So that's right. Yeah. But Facebook is not working. I wonder if it's working now. But that's when people are going to be like, that's why you need to have an email list. Because now you can't talk to anybody. You know, like especially if it's owned by the same, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, even when we were doing the Ladies Who Mean Business, I had everything on MailChimp. And we could do email blasts that way.
Yeah.
So... I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about getting everyone's contact information.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Mm-hmm. And having your own way to talk to them when, if all else fails.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think you should be proud of yourself. I think you've done a lot
in
on
10
your own.
years.
No, but you were 21, though.
I
Like,
know.
that's really young to get started.
Yeah, and I did it on and off. I mean, I always kept my license active, but I wasn't always full-time. Like, when... one of the hurricanes hit in 2016. I always forget if it was Irma. Yeah. I was like, oh, let me go back to working at a bar. And you should never do anything half-assed and be part-time. But at the end of the day, like, I needed to pay my bills.
Mm-hmm.
So I started working at a country club, and I took their email list.
The truth comes out. Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
I mean, those were people who I was serving every day who trusted me, it was a country club, so it was the same clients every single day.
Yeah.
So once they got to know me and have trust in me, it was like, hey, I also do real estate. And even if you don't want to use me, maybe you have a son or Not like, but like,
Hey.
no, but maybe you have a son or daughter that's my age that would feel more comfortable using me, so
I love that.
network.
Do you want to do something that no guest has ever done?
Of course. Show my tits.
Dance for the camera. I made a little basket of awkward questions.
Okay, love it.
Okay. And I always forget to do it. So I was like, maybe Amanda will want to do it.
Yeah,
All
I'll do it.
So
I'd love to be awkward. Am I picking it
just
and handing
pick a
it to you?
question.
Or you want me to read it?
I want you to read it.
Okay.
Let's see. I did this when I was like slightly tipsy though, so I don't remember what the questions are.
Ooh. If you could punch any celebrity in the face,
Oh, okay. It's a good one.
who would it be?
Who would it be?
Well, I think it's like the top of my head, obviously, I'm like Tom Sandoval because he's just like in the media. But I think if I thought about it longer, I could think of someone better.
I'll give you a second. Think about
Honestly,
it.
like the people who I don't like or hate don't take enough like room or space up in my mind for them to like come to me.
Which is good. But if you have a chance, there's got to be someone that you could just punch in the face. I don't even know who mine would be. See, I would say like naturally, I would say like Kanye West.
Oh.
But would that be fulfilling? Like, how would I feel after?
Your hand would hurt.
Or marketing wise, what if I punched Taylor Swift and then I was that famous? I'd be the person that punched Taylor Swift, which I mean, I like her, but it would, and then everybody would hate me. And the Swifties would come after me and kill me.
Not a good idea.
So strategically too, you got to think about it.
I don't know. Who are some like
A Kardashian?
No, see, everyone you're like hating on, I love. No one from like the basic network shows, like The Bachelor or anything like that. I don't really watch that.
Right now, I would punch Jeremy from Love is Blind.
Okay.
I wouldn't even have to think about that one. I'd punch him straight in the mouth.
Is he the one that's complaining about the Megan Fox girl?
No, he's a narcissist.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm punching anyone in the face, it's definitely a man.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Anyone else, and then we'll move on. I would punch a sexist person, like a sexist male celebrity.
I would punch Randall Emmett in the face.
Is that an athlete?
That is, actually, I think that's his name. It might be. It sounds like an athlete's name. No, that's Lala Kent from Vanderpump, her baby daddy.
See, I wish I hadn't missed the boat on that show because there's so much drama that I missed.
Yeah. It's an okay show.
That's a good one. That sounds like a good punch.
Yeah.
Good.
Huge cheater. Liar.
Oh, well then, yeah, I'd punch him too. Maybe we could just both punch him, knock him out with both of our strong punches. Well, Amanda, thank you so much for being here. I loved having you. You were always so funny and so much fun to hang out with. And everyone stay tuned. I will be sharing all your socials, how to get on your email list, how to connect with you if they're looking to buy a home. And make sure to follow along with her and get on that if you do want to get updates on the market. And if you're interested in buying a home, she has all the knowledge. She's also building a home. So
yes.
I'm letting her do that before I get into it. So I know how to follow her steps. But thanks so much.
No, thank you.
I
this was
appreciate
fun.
it. Yeah, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
All right.